I'm here at the Fort St. Louis Archaeological Project with Miss Tiffany Osborne. Miss Osborne, what is your position here at the project?
I'm the laboratory director here at the Fort St. Louis Archaeological Project Laboratory.
How is it that we can scientifically prove that the French were here in 1685?
Well, we know both from archival research and historical records, as well as from the archaeological record and the evidence that we've been able to recover since we've been here on this project since October of 1999.
What is the evidence that can prove that they were here?
Aside from the historical documents that state that LaSalle was here, we've found evidence such as buildings and structures, the remains of these structures. We have French artifacts that are unequivocally French, that are the exact same artifacts that we have evidence of being on the La Belle, LaSalle's ship. We've got these artifacts on land at Fort St. Louis, as well as many other typical French artifacts that could have only been here.
What artifacts have you discovered at the site?
First, we have French Jesuit trade rings that they found many of on LaSalle's shipwreck of La Belle. These are artifacts that were certainly unloaded from that shipwreck and brought on to Fort St. Louis when the settlement itself was established, as well as brass pins that were also on the Belle. We have lead shot that match the same size of the standard French military and trade guns for the time. We have French ceramics that can only be identified as such. We have typical French ceramics such as green glazed Santonge ware, which is a ceramic that was made in the Santonge region of France. We also have French faience and French Nevers faience made in the Nevers region of France as well, and Beauvaisis stoneware also made in the Beauvaisis region of France.
What types of scientific technology do you use to confirm where the fort is?
Okay. In October of 1999, when we began our excavations here at Fort St. Louis, we knew from previous research and investigation that we had within an area located LaSalle's French Fort St. Louis. In order to pinpoint the exact location of this, including the individual buildings at Fort St. Louis, we were able to use the cesium magnetometer out at Fort St. Louis. This is a magnetometer using cesium atoms, the oscillations which will detect the disturbance of the normal magnetic variations of the Earth at any given point. We were able, using this magnetometer and this instrument, to densely oversample the area, download the information that was gathered from that, and create magnetometer maps. We have one displayed here in the laboratory. Also, one of the instruments that we use absolutely every day out at Fort St. Louis, and really we could not get along without it, is a total data station. This is a very advanced transit or survey piece of equipment. This allows us to get our given distance, elevation, and grid point at any point on this site. We use this in laying out new units for excavation. We use this in determining what elevation certain features that we recover are found at, and we also use this to map any of our features and any of the important structures, for instance, and fence and stockade wall remains. Anything out at the site, we basically use it for measuring and for mapping every day.
Will France let us keep the artifacts that are found here in Texas?
Absolutely. The artifacts that are found on the land site of Fort St. Louis belong to the trust, belong to the landowners. In Texas, every artifact found on private land is in the property and ownership of the landowners. We process all of these artifacts. They all go into a database. They're assigned a lot number, and we then use that information and location information or provenience for all of these artifacts, and for each lot or bag of artifacts from each one individual 1 meter by 1 meter unit, to then put this into a program, several programs, one of them being Surfer, which is a distribution plotting program that will show distributions over an entire site area of French artifacts, which is something that we were able to say, give me, given the site area, give me the distribution of French gun flints as opposed to Spanish gun flints or anything else out at the site. And if we see French gun flints or French ceramics being clustered in one area, that's another bit of evidence that actually tells us that's where the fort is located.
Thank you, Miss Osborne. That helps me prove that the French were really here.